Alright, let's do something different on this channel for once. Fuck the transfer window for now, I can't be bothered with the transfer window. Twitter always goes into carnage. We are the most negative fan base in the world. Even I get called negative sometimes. And I couldn't care less about the Sonny Perkins situation. I couldn't give a shiny shit. Even if he goes to Tottenham, it's Sonny Perkins. I've seen better youngsters leave. And speaking of seeing players leave, I've seen players leave that I've been happy to see leave. And today's video is about the worst West Ham 11 that I could make. Now the rules of this video is from 2010 to this year, and it's players that I've watched from my own eyes. And I'm going to do a video on the best West Ham 11 as well. And that won't include the likes of Paolo Di Canio and Bobby Moore, because I didn't watch them. They are legends of this club. I didn't watch them. Now, I think you probably might disagree with some of these players. If you do disagree, leave your thoughts in the comments below. But when I watched these players, I couldn't stand to see them. So let's get into the video. In goal, of course. You all know who it is. And if you could sum up the Manuel Pellegrini era, you'd sum it up with Burnley away, 3-0. Balbuena had a stinker that game as well, but man like Roberto, I generally don't. I don't think I can't even put a clip of like his goalkeeping in these videos. But generally, the worst goalkeeper I've ever seen, not just West Ham, just ever. And I would have put probably Joe Hart if it wasn't for Roberto in this, because Joe Hart, sometimes he saved us, sometimes very shit, sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit. But Roberto was generally the worst goalkeeper ever. We didn't even buy him for his distribution. Like, Fabianski kept getting injured, and then we loaned him to Alaves, or whatever the fucking club's called, in January. We brought back Darren Randolph, who's actually a competent number 2, with a competent goalkeeper in general. He can be number 1 for a club if he wants to. In my opinion, he can be a number 1 in the Premier League if he wants to. There's no problem with that. I'm just thinking about the times that we had to go through with Pellegrini and just Roberto Jimenez. I remember Newcastle at home. We got beat 3-2, and the thing is, I think that was like I want to say that was the start of him failing. And Fabianski didn't have the greatest of years either. I think it was Hammer of the Year 18-19 season. I could be wrong actually, but I think it was Hammer of the Year then, and then he had kind of a stinker even like when he had injuries or when he was actually playing, and he wasn't the best. But Roberto was just another level of shit. And I genuinely I'm so happy that we don't have to go through that again. But yeah, Roberto is definitely has to be the goalkeeper. This guy was so pointless, man. I think he was one of the players at the time where, what was it? Was it 15? No, not 15, 16. 16, 17 season, we moved into the London Stadium. We bought a bunch of players. Feguli, Gokantore, Arbeloa, Havard Nordveit, Zaza, Caleri, etc. We bought a bunch of players. They weren't good players, but we bought a bunch of players. And the problem with that season was, I think we bought them all for Europe. Problem is, when you lose to a Romanian team 2 years in a row, yeah, we're not in Europe anymore. We've got 1 game a week. Lost to Astra Gugu, the famous Astra Gugu, who are now relegated actually in one of their divisions. But yeah, we bought Arbeloa for that era, and I think the game that summed Arbeloa the most, I don't know whether it was Arsenal 5-1, I don't know whether it was that game. Well, he might not even played that game. I think it was Edmilson Fernandez that played right wing back that game, but it was even then. I don't know whether it was Middlesbrough at home. I don't remember which game it was, but it was like a player would take him on, and every time he would just let anyone go past him. He would just be like, "Oh, okay." He was the biggest mercenary I think we've had, and the problem with Arbeloa was that not only was he past his best and a big mercenary. Well, I guess this kind of shows how much of a mercenary he was. He fell out with Milic by saying, "I want more than you. I know more than you. So shut up. I am not shit. I am good because I won stuff with Real Madrid. You won stuff because you was in a good team. You didn't win stuff because of you." But yeah, Arbeloa at right back. Honourable mentions, if there is such a thing for such a list. I would say Carl Jenkinson. I know he had a good season, the 14-15 season, but in general he was so bad. Like 15-16 seasons especially. Bournemouth at home, if you remember that game, I was there at that game. I could be asked. I think he got a red card and an own goal. I could be wrong. I think it was that game. But yeah, Carl Jenkinson would be an honourable mention, and a lot of people for some reason wouldn't like me saying this, but Ryan Fredericks. Ryan Fredericks is up there. Then again, so is Lars Jakobsen probably. I didn't like Lars Jakobsen when I first saw him. I was only 7 years old watching the Avon Grant era when we got relegated, but when I saw Lars Jakobsen and Wayne Bridge as our fullback options, it wasn't the greatest of times either. But Ryan Fredericks, let's get back to him. I know he's just left now, thank fuck for that. I don't think he's had more than 15 good games for West Ham, I would say. Off the top of my head. I can name you a lot of bad ones. A couple of examples, even this season, Newcastle at home. Awful. He got hooked off at half time, he was that bad. Oh my god, he was so shit. I didn't say Maximan wasn't even playing, and I think Moyes just played Ryan Fredericks there just because of St. Maximan's pace. That good Moyes doesn't have to shoehorn him in anymore. And I'm not a guy who hypes up youngsters and say they're better than senior players or whatever, like straight away. But I think Ashby is way better, and he's only got a few like first team appearances. Oh my god, Ryan Fredericks, man! He's gone to Bournemouth. I think Bournemouth will get relegated. Judging by the business that is happening right now, I can see Bournemouth coming 20th. And if we was to, the Danjuma deal's off, but if we was to get Danjuma as the former Bournemouth player against the former West Ham player, that would have been mad. And he would have ripped him a new one. Danjuma ripped us a new one in the fucking pre-season. Ryan Fredericks, another game that really cements him. Again, another game against Newcastle. Remember when we lost against Newcastle? What was it? Nearly 2 seasons ago. First game of the season. Everyone was shit that day, but he was especially awful. Him and Cresswell and I'd say Diop for that game were awful. And yeah, I'm talking about an honourable mention a bit too much, to be fair, so I'll allow him. I think Arbeloa, Roberto and Roger Johnson are probably the bottom, the top 3 on this list of worst West Ham players I've ever seen in my life. I think those are the 3. Because you can see like the smallest of glimpses in other players. Roger Johnson, everyone knows the typical jockeying he used to do, especially the one where I think it was Yaya Toure when Man City battered us. I think they had Pellegrini at the time. I think this was 13-14. I'm trying to remember. I think it was no. Because 13-14 they won a league against us the last game. It might have been 12-13. I don't remember. Maybe it was a cup game. I don't think it was a league game actually. But we had the black kit. I think it was the Alpari days. So I think I think it was them. But with Roger Johnson, the guy would jockey, the guy would be rash, the guy would get red cards, the guy couldn't play ball to feet. I don't think anyone likes him. I don't know if Birmingham and Wolves fans even like him either. I think that just sums up how bad he was. And you're probably thinking, why have you put Jose Font in there? Think about the centre backs we've had over the years. James Collins, James Tompkins, Matthew Upson. I didn't rate Matthew Upson that highly, but he was way better than Jose Font for us. Angelo Ogbonna, Issa Diop was way better. Balbuena, I didn't like Balbuena, but he was better. And now we have Zuma, and we just signed again. And I haven't watched again, but I can tell you for now, he's better than Jose Font was at West Ham. Jose Font won a league in France. I'm sure he contributed to that. I didn't watch Lille in that season. He was good at Southampton. Everyone else bought good players from Southampton. Everyone else bought Wanyama. I know that's not the greatest example, but I rated Wanyama. Who else? They had Ricky Lambert, Jay Rodriguez. I guess they all flopped, really, apart from maybe a couple. But Virgil van Dijk. I should probably said Virgil van Dijk, Mane, and Tadic first. But you know what I mean. You know what I'm getting to. And yeah, honestly, Jose Font. In the lapse of concentration, it was actually Southampton away, Bilic's second season. I can remember where. I think, did Antonio get sent off? I don't remember who got sent off. I think it was Antonio. And there was just constant 2-foot challenges this game. Jose Font against his former club. I want to say he gave away the penalty against Charlie Austin. I could be wrong. But it was just a pure lapse of concentration. There was no awareness in the box. You would think that he wasn't experienced. You would think that we just slapped him off the street, and he was 19 years old, and we put him in the starting 11 straight away and said, go do your thing. We bought him in the same January transfer window as when we sold Payet and bought Robert Snodgrass. And as much as people like Snodgrass, I don't think he was the greatest either. He doesn't make either list, by the way, of best or worst, but I didn't really rate Snodgrass either. But yeah, Roger Johnson and Jose Font. Could you imagine them two in the starting 11? Mad. If you remember Pablo Armero, this guy didn't play much, but we haven't had, not only have we had not that many bad left backs, and some would say Masuaku. He's bad at left back, but I'd rather have him than fucking Armero. I remember him getting ripped against Arsenal just this one game where I don't know whether it was, I think it was Walcott. I just kept piping him, and he just got spun every time. Pablo Armero, I think it was the same season as Roger Johnson, and he wasn't good. He wasn't good. I mentioned Nordveit earlier in the video. Harvard Nordveit was fucking awful. The guy would play at right back, shit. You played at centre back, shit. You played midfield, you were shit. Tottenham away, that game especially, that's probably the worst game. One of the worst performances I've seen from a West Ham player. I think we only lost 3-2 as well. They were going for the league title. They didn't win it, of course they didn't. But Harvard Nordveit, I think he gave away a penalty as well that ended the game, and I don't understand the scouting in this. I don't know who was the scout at the time. I don't even know whether this was an Asian thing. Was this a Will Salthouse client? I don't know who decided to get this guy in. I did not like him. I did not like him at all. Again, a lapse of concentration, a bit like Jose Font. The inability to tackle, the inability to short pass or long pass. It wasn't good on the ball. He was definitely not press resistant, I'll tell you for that for sure. Couldn't win any aerial duels. You name everything you want in a midfielder, he was the opposite of that. Harvard Nordveit is like definitely up there with one of the worst players I've seen at West Ham. I think you guys know, if you're watching this, you will know who I'm going to say. Carlos Sanchez is first. Carlos Sanchez. Remember Oxford United away. Look at all the goals. Remember Leicester at home. Look at both of the goals. The ability to not keep up with your runners. As a midfielder, you're meant to stay with your runners. You're also meant to be all right on the ball, an all right tackler. He was none of that. I don't know why we signed the guy. And he came in for a paycheck. And it was actually disgraceful. It was everything. He was like a prime example of everything wrong at West Ham. Like him and Felipe Anderson for me. At least Felipe Anderson had some ability, but like Carlos Sanchez, man, like I genuinely don't understand the logic of signing someone who just wants to have a paycheck and that is it. You don't want to play for the club. You know, I'm not here for the passion merchants and the die for the bad stuff. I don't care about that. If you want to play for the club, and even if you don't want to play for the club and you're professional, you still get on with it and you still try your hardest. Like, I get it. You didn't want to go to the club, but you come to West Ham, you still wanted to leave your club, and you play, and you try hard. Credit where credit is due. He was shit. And I don't think I need to tell you the fact that he was like, I don't understand. Now that I think about it, I don't understand why he was a footballer. I don't understand how we got to the Colombia squad every fucking year as well. Like, maybe Colombia didn't have better midfielders then, but I don't even remember who was in midfield for Colombia then. But yeah, Carlos Sanchez, one of the worst players again I've ever seen, like all the other players on this list. All right. The man, the myth, the peasant, Jack Wilshere. Is he still playing in Denmark? Has he just quit to just chat shit on TalkSport? The man who constantly has jabbed at our club since. Arsenal fans don't even claim him anymore. I don't fucking claim him. I will never claim this guy. Never. This guy was a West Ham fan, and you had the audacity to chat shit about this club after the shitty performances you put in and how warm you made the physio room. I don't understand that. I know he said some nice things about there's no need to leave Declan Rice and Mark Noble's the best captain he's seen, but when you criticise David Moyes, who I didn't want to play for him because I'm paraphrasing, but he basically said like he played a different style, he didn't play a possession style of football, so I couldn't adjust to it. And he also thought, and a bit like Mohamed Diame when he left, he thought he could play for a better club when he left. You ended up playing for Bournemouth, you got into a fight with Watford players, you got sent off and left, and Bournemouth didn't even get promoted that year. A lot of people might think this is unpopular, but when it comes to wingers, right wingers especially, I'm trying to think, like, we didn't have that many, I want to say there was many honourable mentions for this one, but this front three all came from the 16-17 season, the same transfer window as well. And I'm going to go with the first one is Sofiane Feghouli. I know a lot of people liked him in spells, but genuinely, if he had the ability for the Premier League, if he had the ability to adjust, he might still be here. He might have been as long as the Pellegrini era. He might have been there for that long. But clearly he couldn't adjust to the Premier League. He showed flashes of pace, flair, good crossing here and there. I'll say like against Palace at home where we won 3-0, the game where Andy Carroll scored that mad overhead kick. Played really well that game. But that is the only game that comes to mind for me where he shone out and he balled out and he actually showed himself to be the big money signing that he is. Other than that, he didn't really do anything, I'll be honest. Left wing, Gok and Torre. The guy could cross, again couldn't adjust to Premier League. Another person that was probably signed for Europe. Very one-footed, like a lot of footballers are, but at least some footballers can use their weak foot. He did not have a right foot at all. This guy just had one foot, and the problem with him, he didn't have the consistency, he didn't have the willingness to play, he wasn't that good in possession, he didn't even link up well with our attackers, he didn't last long. He lasted 1 season, then he was shipped off. Rightly so. Oh my god. Now, let's get onto the strikers, man. And when I say strikers, I'm going to get a lot of honourable mentions. Jordan Hugo, the last striker David Moyes signed, didn't fucking play for us. Ajeti barely played for us. Played in the Shitty Cup games and he was shit. I think he plays for Celtic now. Don't know what Celtic fans think. Jonathan Calleri, same transfer window, very bad. Exactly what I said on the tin for him. Frederick Piquion, I think his name is Frederick. I don't know what his fucking first name is. Avram Grant bought him after he worked with him at Portsmouth. Didn't work out, wasn't that good. Midiba Maiga, can't live off 1 goal against Tottenham. You can't live off 1 goal. Here's a name for the past. Wellington Paulista didn't even fucking play for us, I don't think, and we signed him. Didn't see the point of that. Borriello, also signed with the likes of Nocerino. I don't think either of them played that much for us. So I don't know what to make of. I didn't really know what to make of him at the time. And the reason why I say this guy up front, I'm probably missing out a few strikers, by the way. Robbie Keane as well. I'm pretty sure he tried to get us relegated. There's probably more frequent ones as well. Even Lucas Perez. Maybe he wasn't given much of a chance. I didn't like him at all. I'm saying Simone Zaza. We signed this guy after he skied a penalty for Italy. So I think they lost in that Euros. And I can't see the reason why we signed him. He played against us. I think he scored against us in the pre-season for Juventus. And I think Golden Sullivan were like, "You need a striker. We like deals cheap. Let's get him on loan." We were desperate for a striker then. We were so desperate for a striker then. Because, like, we had, like, Ena Valencia, Saka and Carroll, and I don't know what even happened to Saka at that time, and Andy Carroll, injury prone, Ena Valencia kind of fell off a cliff, and we signed Zaza and Calleri. No scouting involved in this. I don't know where they found Calleri, by the way. But Zaza, he didn't ever win an aerial duel for us. He was never really a presence in the box. Andy Carroll did better, and he's injured most of the time. At least when Andy Carroll played, it wasn't that bad. Andy Carroll was a bit rash, but sometimes he could make up for it for the goals he scored. Zaza didn't give anything. I know that's what happens with most Italians, to be fair. They don't really want to kite in the Premier League, to be fair to them. But anyway, that is the starting 11 of the worst players that I've seen play for West Ham. If you guys disagreed with any of them, or if you've been watching football longer than I have because you're older than me, who are the worst players you've seen at West Ham? Let me know. The next video you will see, unless we sign someone, will be the best players I've seen at West Ham. The starting 11 of the best players I've seen at West Ham. Same rules and regulations. And yeah, leave a like on the video, share everywhere, guys. What was I going to say? Like and subscribe. Like the video as well. Subscribe, share everywhere. The socials are in the description if you want to follow me or inquire about something on my email. You know what to do. And I'll see you guys next video.